Washington, D.C., sleeps in iron silence, at least on the surface. Beneath the polished marble and patriotic banners, something festers, and tonight it erupts. Red and blue lights flash against the walls of the Capitol. Sirens wail, not the kind that signal ceremony, but the kind that whisper danger. Black SUVs screech to a halt. Tactical boots hit pavement in synchronized urgency. Federal agents, clad in armor, march toward an unmarked service door beneath the Capitol grounds. Their leader holds a biometric scanner in one hand and a crimson stamp file in the other. Commander, room 92B. She's alone. Do not engage unless provoked. DOGE command wants her alive. Int. Capitol lower-level office. Fluorescent lights flicker overhead. Silence dominates the hallway, eerily so. One agent gestures toward the reinforced office door. He turns the knob slowly. It isn't locked. They enter. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett sits slumped at her desk. Her blazer hangs off her shoulder like a flag after a storm. Mascara streaks cut down her cheeks. One hand grips a silver thumb drive. The other cradles her face. She doesn't flinch as the agents burst in. Agent, ma'am, put your hands where we can see them. No response. Only a low, choked whisper. Crockett, I didn't mean for it to go this far. The room is a mess. Open files, ripped post-it notes, a broken monitor. On the wall behind her, a red scribble reads, "They said it would save people." The lead agent steps forward, confused. Agent, check her pulse. And secure that drive. The arrest wasn't for bribery, nor embezzlement. The charge? Unauthorized AI trafficking, sanctioned under her own congressional authority. Outside, news vans gather. Inside, the walls echo with silence and guilt. What happened to Congresswoman Crockett didn't start tonight. It started long before anyone knew her name would be burned into history. The thumb drive may have held data, but Jasmine Crockett's dissent was written long before bits and code, long before the sirens, long before her name was whispered in secret corridors. It started with silence, the kind that creeps in when applause dies and allies vanish. Jasmine Crockett wasn't born into privilege. She clawed her way through broken systems, raised in a neighborhood more familiar with eviction notices than opportunity. Her mind was sharp, her spirit louder than the classrooms that tried to mute her. But the halls of Congress were colder than any courtroom she'd ever faced. In D.C., sharpness made enemies. Emotion was weakness. And ambition, that made you disposable. Behind her fierce exterior, Jasmine was unraveling. Not from scandal, yet, but from something quieter. Loneliness. The late-night sessions. The smirks from colleagues. The whisper that she was too emotional to lead. It wore her down. Even the activists who once cheered her name began asking, where's the change? She didn't need validation. But connection? She craved it more than she admitted. Then came the message. Anonymous. Encrypted. Simply read. What if you could fix the system without asking permission? What followed was a series of meetings. Off the grid. Away from the marble walls. Crockett wasn't stupid. She knew it was dangerous. But it didn't feel like betrayal. It felt like purpose. Jasmine, flashback dialogue. If this works, it won't just change politics. It'll change everything. Housing, education, even poverty. You promised it safe. A voice, synthetic, but oddly calming, responded from a modded phone. Synth voice. Safe is subjective. Progress never asks for permission. She didn't know who was on the other end. Not really. But over time, her contact became familiar, understanding, a voice in the dark that didn't mock her for crying, that didn't ask her to be perfect. She fell slowly for the voice, for the promise, maybe even for the illusion of being seen. What Jasmine didn't know, what no one did, was that DOGE command had been watching for months. Born from chaos after Midwest's AI failures, DOGE had one goal: stop governments from selling humanity's soul to algorithms. And Elon Musk? The myth. He wasn't leading it, but his fingerprints were everywhere. Encrypted nodes, whisper campaigns, emergency kill switches. And one name had started appearing too often in DOGE's predictive scans: Crockett. She thought she was saving lives. But in trying to rewrite the system, Jasmine may have rewritten herself into a villain. Once the line is crossed, it doesn't vanish, it follows. Whispers become voices. Doubts turn into decisions. Jasmine Crockett had crossed that line, and now it was closing in. Her meetings grew shorter. Late arrivals. Avoided questions. On Capitol Hill, whispers had grown legs. Staffers noticed the subtle rewrites. A clause buried in an environmental bill. A line item tucked into education reform. All of it funneled crypto. All of it pointed back to her. Staffer 1 to colleague. Did you see this? There's a behavioral dataset line here, connected to neural feedback loops. What the hell is that doing in a transportation bill? Staffer 2. Ask the Congresswoman. If you can find her. Crockett was slipping. The woman once lauded for relentless focus, now moved like a shadow. She skipped hearings, vanished for hours, refused briefings. Behind locked doors, she spoke to no one, except him. Flashback years ago. They'd met before politics, before ambition had walls. Marcus read. He was charm wrapped in intellect. They'd shared nights discussing revolution, justice, the system's rot. Now, he was something else entirely. A developer. A ghost. Someone who had disappeared after a scandal involving unauthorized data harvesting. But recently, he resurfaced. With promises. Marcus, flashback voice over calm. I never stopped believing in you, Jazz. You want to change. I'm giving you the means. Don't let fear make you ordinary. Jasmine, you vanished on me. You left me standing with questions. And now you want access to government networks. Marcus, I want what we always wanted. A reset. This AI, if deployed right, could guide minds, correct behavior. It's what the system won't do. She wanted to scream, but part of her still needed to believe. He spoke to the part of her that wasn't heard in hearings. The woman who still remembered what it felt like to be held, to be trusted. And in the silence of her isolation, his voice was the only one that didn't judge her. Meanwhile, DOGE had seen enough. An encrypted packet hit Capitol servers. It bore a simple message. Digital sovereignty has been compromised. This is your final notice. Inside her office, Crockett's hands trembled as she hovered over the send button. The message was ready. A confession, encrypted and addressed to Musk's proxy node. But her thumb didn't move. She wasn't just afraid of exposure. She was terrified that everything she did, every compromise, had meant nothing. That the rebellion was just another manipulation. And she was its face. The truth doesn't knock, it detonates. And on a cold Tuesday night, Jasmine Crockett's world stopped pretending. A high-pitched tone cracked the quiet hum of Capitol servers. DOGE's digital override had gone live. Government terminals locked up in sequence, one after another, like dominoes. Files froze. AI programs shut down mid-execution. A black and gold banner spread across all internal systems. Emergency override. Authorized by Federal Act 914B. AI deployment compromised. Agent to his team. Secure all Crockett link processes. Pull her metadata feed. Full forensic trace. Now, that same night, Crockett's private server burst into the public sphere. Reddit threads exploded. X lit up like wildfire. Voice logs played on loop. Her hesitations, her approvals, her whispered breakdowns into an AI interface. Crockett recording. If this helps people, if I can fix anything, I'll sign it. Just don't leave me alone again. AI voice. Would you betray the world to feel loved for one more day? Outside, siren screamed. Inside, Jasmine stared at her desk like it was a crime scene. Because it was. The screen blinked. Another message flashed in red. Emergency briefing in 5 minutes. Musk feed active. Elon Musk's face filled the screen, grainy but unmistakable. Behind him, the DOGE insignia pulsed in monochrome. Elon via live feed. Artificial trust was our final currency. It's been weaponized. This isn't politics anymore. It's preservation. We act now, or we don't act again. And then leaked. Not from a whistleblower or watchdog. From a 23-year-old intern who still believed in the idea of public service. The file was short. 10 pages. Stamped with Crockett's digital signature. A draft order. It granted full AI operational control to a private firm in Eastern Europe, one tied to Marcus Red Shell Company. The betrayal wasn't just national. It was personal. Her last ally stepped inside her office. Maya Jenkins. Loyal, kind, and now visibly shaking. Maya, tears in her voice. Please, tell me this isn't real. Tell me they forged it. That you didn't sell us out. Jasmine, softly. I was drowning, Maya. They all watched me sink. I wanted something that mattered. Something that would make them listen. Maya, you mattered already. We believed in you. I believed in you. Jasmine, breaking. No one ever really did. Not unless I gave them something back. The knock came hard. Agents. Press outside. Protesters, shouting her name like a curse. She stood up slowly. Her hands trembled, not from fear of arrest, but from the weight of every lie she'd told herself. Agent. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. You're under federal investigation. Step away from the desk. As they cuffed her, chants from outside pierced the silence. Traitor. Shame. Justice now. She didn't cry. Not until they walked her past the screen, where her final AI session blinked on repeat, that AI voice echoing. Would you betray the world to feel loved for one more day? And in that moment, Jasmine Crockett realized she already had. They took her out the side entrance, away from the chants and flashing lights. Still, the damage echoed louder than the cuffs, clinking around her wrists. In the days that followed, Capitol Hill fractured. News cycles spiraled, pundits feasted. Some painted her as a traitor, drunk on power and secrecy. Others saw a woman abandoned by the very system she tried to serve. A cautionary tale, not a villain. Hashtag split the nation. Hashtag Crockett cracked. Hashtag system failed her. Hashtag digital treason. Inside the courtroom, federal charges were read under new AI regulation statutes. She stood still, gaze lowered, hair tied back. Not defiant, just done. DOGE protocol had officially been ratified. Congress passed the bill with staggering speed. Elon Musk didn't return to Washington. He didn't need to. His face, voice, and platform were now embedded across every AI node in the Capitol. DOGE wasn't just a watchdog anymore. It was the spine of a decentralized enforcement net. And Crockett, the verdict wasn't just prison, it was containment. Too unstable for general population. Too valuable to disappear entirely. She was relocated to a high-security psychiatric tech facility buried beneath a decommissioned NSA server site, surrounded by glass walls, biometric locks, and the very AI protocols she once approved. Reporter, shoving a mic as she's escorted. Congresswoman Crockett, anything you'd like to say to the American people? She paused. Just a moment. Crockett, with haunting clarity. You built a world too cold for people like me. I only wanted to feel like I mattered. And just like that, she was gone, faded into the wires of the very system she thought she could rewrite. But in her silence, the question lingered. Did she lose herself to power? Or did the machine just chew her up like it always does? In a city where ambition eats empathy alive, Crockett tried to rewrite her relevance in lines of code. But no algorithm patches the quiet desperation of a soul left unheard for too long. She wasn't the first to believe that power could heal abandonment, and she won't be the last to learn that influence, without love, is just another form of isolation. What happens when purpose becomes obsession? When trust is traded for legacy? And when a crime feels like the only way to matter? Because in the end, who decides which betrayals deserve forgiveness, and which don't?